What up guys, Atlas here with my first ever Mods Weekly video. I'm so excited to be doing this, and I know so many other channels do it, so if you subscribe to me and watch mine, thank you so much, and I love you that much more. Let's get into this. Our first mod today is brought to you by Gambit77, and he calls it Armorsmith Extended, and it does 5 different things that no other mod does all at the same time. He says, 1. Every outfit in the game can now be worn under armor, as you can see I am doing. It actually is so helpful if you're on something like survival. You now get all this extra armor that you should have had in the first place. 2. Every hat and helmet in the game that doesn't cover your face can be worn with bandanas and gas masks. This means up to 3 items on your face at the same time. And this one's mostly for cosmetic purposes unless you combine it with number 4, which lets you make every outfit, hat, and helmet in the game be able to have a ballistic weave armor mod added to it. This gives you a huge amount of defense and is quite lore breaking, but if you don't mind doing so, it definitely makes survival a lot easier. Next up, number 4, every outfit can have a torso, leg, arm, or vault suit armor mod, and this means you can add more armor effects such as the muffled or the shadowed kind of stuff like that onto more pieces. Now, number 5, he adds a new Armorsmith workbench that you can make some special outfits in. It's mostly underwear right now, but he's going to update it and add more outfits later on. So next up, we're going to go over my 2 favorite mods in the Wasteland. One of them is Homemaker by NovaCoru, and the other one is Settlement Supplies Expanded by Irving. So you'll notice I'm walking over some pretty weird looking textures, and actually it's just a retexture of the wood structures if you couldn't tell. In Homemaker, NovaCoru got a retexture of these done and added them in, and he's calling them his Institute structures. Now basically, this is really awesome for people who want to build a really clean settlement. Everything up until now has been pretty dirty and grimy, and you haven't really been able to, make a clean settlement that actually matches some of the Institute stuff you might have from these mods. Now, one of the next things NovaCoru does is he adds in these cool new statics, and he adds a few more vehicles than Irving has currently added. He adds some construction vehicles, some custom containers. There's the open and closed versions of these containers, and honestly, there's so many cool statics like these Raider statics, these Super Mutant statics, and there's so many that I can't cover them all in one mod, and it's really hard because I really want to. But you'll just have to get the mod for yourself and see that this mod adds so much. And what's so cool is that it can be combined with Settlement Supplies Expanded. You don't have to pick one or the other, as he added a patch for it on his mod page. So next up, we'll go ahead and start going over Irving's Settlement Supplies Expanded. And one major thing that sets the two apart is currently Troy has so many more doors added to the game than NovaCoru does. And this is a big deal to a lot of players because honestly the vanilla game doors were just really terrible. Even when some of these are kind of useless, like that subway car door back there, it's cool that he even has them in there. He's gone through the trouble to find them and put their files into the game. Now, like I did say, a lot of these are kind of useless, but they're all still really cool. Now, I know you've all been eyeing those cars over there in the back, and this is really just a quick sample of what he adds. You can still see them throughout the video, and really, there's just too many to go over, but I promise you will love them. Now, you'll notice I've been eyeing over all these metal platforms. These are all Brotherhood of Steel statics, and you could basically make an entire Brotherhood base out of them. Next up, you have some of these Covenant walls and the Covenant turret stand, which currently only Homemaker adds. Settlement Supplies Expanded does not currently have the turret stand, but I'm sure that'll be changed here pretty soon. So one of the next cool things that Troy really did well was adding in these custom interactives like the shower, which will give you some blinding white light whenever you're, rinsing yourself off. And of course the Porta Diner, which you can never win at least I never have. I put like 10 of those things back to back and I still couldn't do it. And of course, while everything in here is amazing, the one thing I think that most players will find most useful is the custom containers that both of these mods provide, along with the custom doors. So really, there's just so many to check out that I can't put them all in this one video, or it would be a 30-minute video. Trust me, I actually tried that, and I looked at the timer on the recording, and I saw 30 minutes, and I wasn't even done yet. So really, to get the full grasp of these mods, all the cool things that they add, you really just need to download these two. There's just too much for me to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next mod. So I'm sure these next 2 mods are what you've all been waiting for. First, I'll demonstrate the Busty mod by Konitschiwa and Tonicmole. basically what it does is it alters the bones in the female model so that whenever you change it from thin to large to muscular, the special regions jut out a little bit and make them larger or smaller. So basically, it's a pretty primitive mod because we don't have the GEC or the creation kit as you might know it as. So this is kind of the best we're going to get for now, and the author is currently trying to improve how this is done. So next we'll go ahead and go over the other mod that you can see while I was editing. It is called Nuclear Nude by Zentience, and it's not the Glorious Female Nude mod by Blackfire BR, nothing against him, but I honestly think this Nuclear Nude mod is actually a lot better. It adds a lot more depth. It kind of adds like a little sweat or some grime, and there's so many different presets that you can set it on, but basically it's a more realistic version, which I like so much more. Nothing against him, but I do like this newer mod a lot better, and I think it just looks better in general. So next up we have the Crafting Workbenches mod created by DrDanzel, and it adds 4 new workbenches to the game, and we're going to go ahead and start with the Weapons Crafting Workbench. Now in this workbench you can make all kinds of ammo and all kinds of gun. This includes pre-war guns, as he calls it, which is basically every gun in the game except for pipe guns. And then next up we have the Armor Crafting Workbench, which you can make every type of armor including synth armor and power armor, and those helmeted cage armors and the full body type armors, which he just calls outfits. And I think that's just really cool because Bethesda never gave us a way to make these kinds of things in the vanilla game. And next up we have the Junk Crafting Workbench. Basically what this does is it takes the scraps or the materials that you got from scrapping junk, and you can use that to remake the junk. And so this is just kind of a more decorative thing if you actually wanted to make, a desk fan to put next to your bed, something like that. It just lets you get a little bit more immersive with the game. And so next up we have the Clothing Crafting Workbench, and this is just all sorts of basic clothing like suits and tuxedos, stuff like that. Just the basic stuff that I feel like we should have been able to do from the very beginning that unfortunately Bethesda didn't add. And it actually does have, sensible materials required to create these items, which is great because not a lot of mods do sensible materials. They might just do like 2 cloth for a piece of armor, and this mod is actually very detailed and thorough. And that's it for this Mods Weekly on Fallout 4. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave me a comment. And I know this microphone is impossible to bear. I hate listening to it when I'm editing. I know it must be agonizing for you guys, but trust me, there's a new mic on the way. It's a Blue Yeti. It's, top quality. It's going to be great. Just bear with me for a little bit, and we'll get through this. I promise it will get better.